So why don't ordinary bullets kill pangolins? Pangolins have really tough armor, so they're kind of bulletproof, right? Wrong. In this video, we'll see how pangolins survive attacks from predators and humans alike. We'll also find out how vulnerable these so-called bulletproof animals actually are. So why does it seem like bullets bounce off pangolins? Pangolins have small heads, big eyes, long snouts, and very long, sticky tongues. But what they're most known for is their amazing armor. It's hard, flexible, light, and almost impenetrable. Bullets can't pierce it. So it seems that pangolins are some sort of real-life superheroes. When scientists analyzed pangolin scales under a microscope, they found that they're made of the same stuff as our nails and hair, keratin. However, unlike our fingernails, pangolin scales are very thick and layered, similar to tortoiseshell. This structure allows the material to withstand incredible forces without breaking. Just imagine if your fingernail were as thick as a car tire. That'd be one tough nail, so it's all about that structure. Bulletproof vests also use multiple layers of materials to disperse the impact force, but their technology is nothing new. Nature perfected it millions of years ago, and when a pangolin curls up into a ball, its scales close tightly like a turtle shell, which makes it even harder for a bullet to get through. So now it's clear why pangolins aren't hurt by knives, axes, or clubs. Our ancestors used stone tools. They definitely didn't have guns. And it was much easier to cut a pangolin open with a sharp rock than to go through its tough armor with a bullet. Thus, the saying "bullets can't pierce them" could easily come from people who'd never seen a pangolin up close, let alone heard a gunshot. They just heard stories from others. And who would dare argue with an old folk tale? Pangolin armor is so strong that some people even make jewelry out of it. However, even such seemingly useless decorations require special equipment. To remove the scales, you need to either scrape them off while the animal is still alive, or tan the skin after the pangolin is dead. You can't just rip the scales off. The tough outer layer of the skin will stay intact. This means that pangolins can't just shed their armor like snakes do. By the way, pangolin scales are sometimes confused with reptile armor, but that's not the case at all. Pangolins are mammals, which means they give birth to live babies and nurse them with milk. They're also warm-blooded, have fur, and belong to the order of mammals called Pholidota, which means scaly. In total, there are 8 species of pangolins in the world. 4 of them live in Asia and the other 4 in Africa. Some pangolins grow up to 3 feet long and weigh over 30 pounds. Despite being mammals, pangolins move rather slowly on the ground. They can't climb trees well due to their heavy armor, so they prefer staying on the ground. Pangolins spend their days looking for food and their nights sleeping with their mom or other members of their colony. Pangolins are social creatures. Even though they're mostly solitary, they sometimes gather in groups of up to 20 individuals. For example, when they're raising their offspring together, pangolins communicate by sniffing each other's butts. Their sense of smell isn't too keen, but they can detect danger from a great distance thanks to their excellent hearing. If a predator gets too close, the pangolins release a foul-smelling liquid from their butts and curl up into a ball. This defensive move protects their vital organs and acts as a warning to the predator. Most often, it's enough to scare away any attacker. So as you can see, pangolins have many ways to defend themselves. And yet it's unclear whether these unique creatures can withstand a bullet. When a pangolin is attacked by a tiger, leopard, or any other big predatory beast, its scales help it survive. But tigers aren't fond of pangolins' bad taste. Instead, they prefer eating antelopes. If a pangolin runs into a bear, it will probably suffer. Bears aren't picky eaters. They can eat almost anything. But how does a pangolin fare against a gun? Is it true that a bullet can't pierce it? We already know that bullets are made of lead. This metal is soft and malleable, which is why it's ideal for making bullets. There are several dozen different types of bullets, and each is designed to perform a specific function. For example, wad cutters are meant to stop a bullet in human tissue, while hollow point bullets expand upon impact, causing more damage. But all of this doesn't concern us today. All we need to know is that there are full metal jacket bullets, FMJ for short. These bullets consist entirely of metal. The only non-metal part of the bullet is the primer. In fact, the primer is the reason bullets can penetrate pangolin armor. The primer is a small cup-shaped device located at the base of the bullet. It contains chemicals that ignite when the bullet is fired and push the bullet forward. The primer is made of brass, which is an alloy of copper and zinc. That's exactly what's used to make the dollar coins you can find in America. Now try to imagine what would happen if a bullet's primer hit a pangolin's scale. Yes, the bullet won't be able to push it through, but the scale will still get pretty damaged. And that's enough for the bullet to lodge itself inside the wound, which means that the bullet's job is done. As a result, the pangolin will still be seriously injured. By the way, this method of killing pangolins with bullets isn't a myth. It's described in detail in old hunting books where experienced hunters share their skills and knowledge. It turns out that shooting pangolins with bullets is quite a common practice. The only problem is that no one knows exactly how much damage a bullet can cause if it hits the scale just right. After all, there hasn't been a single scientific study on this. The thing is, pangolins are so rare nowadays that researchers barely have a chance to examine them, let alone experiment on them. Plus, it would be cruel and unethical to harm a pangolin just for the sake of science. The first record of someone trying to shoot a pangolin comes from the late 1800s. British officer Frederick Selous wrote that it takes 2 shots to kill a pangolin. He tested it himself, firing a bullet from a double-barrel shotgun at close range. The first shot hit the pangolin's shoulder, but the bird didn't even flinch. The second shot managed to hit the vital organs, but the pangolin kept running. In the end, the officer had to finish the animal off with his hunting knife. That pangolin probably thought it was bulletproof. But the story doesn't tell us much because back then, people didn't have advanced firearms or armor-piercing bullets. One day, the internet exploded with a video of someone shooting a pangolin with an air rifle. Someone said it was cruel, and others said it was necessary to teach pangolins a lesson so they'd finally leave the human realm. But in fact, the person who posted the video saved the animal's life. An air rifle is a lot less dangerous than a regular gun, but it still uses a bullet. And after getting shot, the pangolin froze and fell to the ground. Probably it felt the pain only after the adrenaline wore off. And judging by the size of the wound, the bullet must have hit the pangolin right between the scales. It turned out that the video went viral and got millions of views. But even after all this, no one came forward to claim responsibility for this act of cruelty, probably because everyone understood that shooting a pangolin wasn't exactly praiseworthy. However, there are quite a few videos on the internet where poachers openly boast of their nasty deeds. They say a pangolin curled up into a ball and the bullet couldn't get through, so they just shot it again. Well, I guess that pangolin wasn't wearing a bulletproof vest. There's also a video showing a guy pulling a bullet out of a pangolin's corpse. He found the carcass in the jungle and decided to check how far the bullet had penetrated. In short, the bullet had gone through the entire body. So the pangolin hadn't stood a chance. It's hard to say what armor-piercing ammunition would be needed to defeat a pangolin's armor. Perhaps something similar to what the US military uses in their M240 machine guns. This is a large caliber bullet weighing half a pound and capable of penetrating up to 6 inches of steel at a distance of over 1,800 feet. But this would be overkill. A simple bullet can also do the trick. It just has to hit the right spot. But in general, pangolins should feel safe near humans, right? After all, we're talking about slow, shy animals that feed on ants and termites. They don't pose any threat to people. On the contrary, they can be beneficial because they get rid of harmful insects. Moreover, pangolins have never attacked humans in the wild. There are documented cases of them biting people in captivity, but those are isolated incidents. So why don't we protect these innocent creatures instead of torturing them? Maybe I should make a separate video about that. See you later.